Lily couldn't sleep at all. She was full of excitement. Early in the morning, her dad called out, "Lily, come on. It's time to wake up. We have a long way to the train station." Lily quickly got dressed and was ready soon. But she didn't eat any breakfast because she felt nervous. Today was her first time traveling alone on a train to see her Aunt Clara. Lily and her dad left their town and began walking to the station, which was quite far away. They arrived at the station around noon, and soon after, the train pulled in. It was almost empty, and as Lily stepped on, she felt scared. "Your aunt will be waiting for you at the station in Greenfield," her dad said. "Be careful now, Lily. Don't talk to any strangers." The train started moving suddenly, and Lily watched her dad got smaller and smaller until he disappeared. The journey felt very long. Lily stared out of the window, watching the fields, trees, towns, and animals rush by. After a while, she started to feel sleepy. She was very tired, so she closed her eyes and fell asleep. Later, Lily woke up and noticed it was dark outside. She felt small and lost, far from her house and her dad. There was a man in the carriage with her. He had a rough face and looked very big and strong. His hair was short and he seemed dangerous. The man smiled at Lily and said, "Hello. You're awake now, aren't you? Where are you going?" Remembering her dad's words, Lily stayed quiet. "Are you going to Riverside?" he asked. Lily was surprised and replied, "No, I'm going to Greenfield." The man said, "But we passed Greenfield 2 hours ago while you were sleeping." Lily wanted to cry. She sat very still, feeling warm in the carriage but cold inside. "We passed Greenfield?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Yes," he replied. Lily thought about how she would get back to Greenfield. She didn't have any money. She remembered her aunt at the station. "Don't worry," said the man. "I'll help you. What's your name?" "Lily," she said. "My name is Mark," said the man. "You can trust me." Lily looked at Mark again. He looked scary, with a long scar on his face, but he seemed kind. Was he good or bad? She didn't know. The train started to slow down, and Mark stood up to look out the window. Lily saw a newspaper on his seat with his picture on the back page. Above the picture was a headline, "This man is a dangerous fighter." Now, Lily was sure that Mark was a bad man. He was a criminal. She had to be careful and find a way to escape from him. Mark turned away from the window and said, "We're coming into Riverside now. Stay with me. I'll help you." When the train stopped, Lily jumped up and ran into the door, wanting to escape. However, the door was heavy, and she couldn't open it. Mark stood behind her and said, "I'll open it at the station." At the station, an officer asked Lily for her ticket. She explained, "This ticket is for Greenfield. I fell asleep and missed my stop. I don't have any money." A voice said, "I'll pay." It was Mark. "Thank you, sir," Lily said. "Come with me," Mark said. Lily wanted to run away, but she was scared of Mark. She felt tired and lost. Riverside was a big city, and she didn't know anyone there. Mark called a taxi and told the driver to take them to the Green Tree Hotel. The taxi drove a long way through the busy streets of Riverside, filled with cars, shops, and people. It turned into a small dark alley and stopped. Mark got out and paid the driver. Lily looked around the street, feeling nervous. "Come on, Lily," said Mark. Lily couldn't run away. She felt weak and slow, while Mark was big and strong. Lily followed him into the hotel. Inside, there was a cafe that didn't look very clean. Two men were drinking and playing cards. When they saw Mark, one of them said, "Hello, Mark. Come have a drink. Who's the pretty girl?" Mark took off his jacket and sat down. "Hello, Frank. Hello, Mike," he said. "This is Lily. She's lost." The men laughed. "Lost, huh?" said Frank. "Poor Lily." "You're a lucky man, Mark." Mark gave Lily a chair, and she sat down, looking at the men. Frank had a mustache, while Mike was missing his front teeth. They looked tough. The men were drinking, and Frank offered Lily a glass. "Come on, Lily," he said. "Drink some wine." Lily pushed the glass away, thinking, "I mustn't eat or drink anything. They might give me something to make me sleepy." Mark called the waiter. "Bring us dinner," he said. "Give us some good hot food." The waiter came with the food, and Mike put some on the plate and gave it to Lily. It looked delicious and smelled great. Lily forgot her worries and began to eat. She ate quickly and finished everything, placing her spoon down. The men were watching her and laughing, making her feel scared again. "Come on, Lily," said Mark. "You're tired. It's time for bed." She took her arm, leading her upstairs to a bedroom. Lily's heart raced. "Good night, Lily," said Mark, smiling. "Don't worry, you are safe here." Lily didn't reply. Mark seemed nice, but she remembered the newspaper. Mark was dangerous, and his friends looked dangerous too. She needed to escape. Mark left the room and locked the door behind him. Lily sat on the bed and cried. She could hear the men downstairs laughing and playing cards. After some time, she finally fell asleep. Lily woke up late. The sun was shining brightly. She looked out of the window and saw the waiter sitting outside, smoking a cigarette and reading a newspaper. The room was messy. There was old paper on the floor, and in one corner a small table had some things on it. An idea struck Lily. There was a pen on the table. She picked it up and grabbed a piece of paper from the floor. She wrote, "Please help me. I want to go to Greenfield. My aunt is waiting for me there. I must escape. I have no money and no friends." She threw the note out of the window. The waiter picked it up and read it, looked up and smiled at her before going inside the hotel. Lily heard voices outside her room. Someone unlocked the door, and the waiter came in, followed by a policeman. "It's a policeman," Lily thought. "He has brought help." She ran forward, but it was Mark holding her note. "Good afternoon, Lily," he said. "You slept a long time. You must be hungry. Come have some food. We're leaving soon." The waiter smiled at Mark. Lily realized that the waiter didn't want to help her. He and Mark were friends. Lily went downstairs with Mark, and they offered her some food. But she didn't feel hungry. She refused to eat or drink anything. Mark went outside and Lily heard him talking to someone. What were they planning? Mark came back inside and said, "Come on, Lily. We must go now." A taxi was waiting outside and they both got in. "Where are we going?" Lily asked. Mark looked at her and replied, "I'll take you to your aunt later. First, I have something important to do." Mark smiled, but his smile looked twisted and made him appear ugly. Soon the taxi stopped, and Mark and Lily got out. They were in front of a large building. A sign outside caught Lily's eye. She understood now. Mark was a boxer. The words "dangerous fighter" meant he was a good boxer, not a criminal. Lily followed Mark inside. It was a big hall with seats all around and a boxing ring in the middle. Frank and Mike were waiting for them. "Stay here, Lily. Frank and Mike will look after you. I have to go now." Frank and Mike shook Mark's hand. "Good luck, Mark," said Mike. "You'll win." Lily smiled at Mark for the first time. "Good luck, Mark," she said. Frank and Mike took Lily to a seat next to the ring. The two men talked excitedly. "Mark's going to win," said Frank. "Of course he will," said Mike. "He's the best fighter in the country." Lily listened carefully. Mark was famous. Everyone wanted him to win. "Mark is a great boxer and a good man, too," Mike added. "You know a story about Mark?" asked Frank. One night he was in bed when he heard shouting outside. A house was on fire. He ran out and saved a child trapped inside. But he got hurt. His face was burnt. And that's why he has a scar. Lily woke up late the next morning. Sunlight spilling through the window and casting warm rays across the messy room. She blinked at the unfamiliar surroundings. Memories flooding back from the previous day. The chaotic train journey, the alarming encounter with Mark, and how she had ended up here in Riverside. Her heart raced as she recalled the newspaper headline about Mark being a dangerous fighter. What if he really was a criminal? She thought. But as she looked around, he couldn't help but notice how much she had begun to trust him. She had felt safe in his presence, and a small part of her admired him. I slept okay," she replied, unsure of what to say. The smell of fresh toast and fruit wafted through the air, and her stomach growled at the thought of eating something. Mark set the food down on the small table. "I got you breakfast. You need to eat before we head out." His eyes sparkled with kindness, and Lily found herself smiling back, feeling a little more at ease. They sat down to eat, and as they shared breakfast, Mark began to tell her stories from his childhood. "I used to dream of being a champion boxer when I was your age. I loved the thrill of the fight and the challenge it brought," he said, his eyes distant as he reminisced. "But it wasn't just about the glory. It was about pushing myself to be better every day." Lily listened intently, her heart swelling with admiration. She had seen Mark as a tough fighter, but now she could see his passion and dedication. "You're really inspiring," she said. "I've never met someone like you before." Mark chuckled, a hint of shyness creeping into his demeanor. "Well, thank you, Lily. It means a lot coming from you." They shared a warm smile, and for a moment all her fears melted away. Once they finished breakfast, Mark took her hand gently. "Are you ready to go to Greenfield? Your aunt must be worried about you," he said, his voice softening. The sun shone brightly, and Lily marveled at the vibrancy of the city. People hurried past, shops displayed colorful items, and the air was filled with laughter. For a moment she felt as if she were on a grand adventure. They hailed a taxi, and as they settled into the back seat, Mark looked at her with a serious expression. "Lily, I want you to know that I will protect you, no matter what happens. You're safe with me," he said, his voice firm yet reassuring. Tears filled Lily's eyes at his words. She had never felt this cared for before. "Thank you, Mark. That means everything to me," she whispered, feeling a rush of gratitude and affection toward him. Finally, they arrived at Greenfield Station. The family sight brought a wave of relief and anxiety. Lily could see the sign that marked the entrance, and her heart raced at the thought of reuniting with her aunt. "Here we are," Mark said, opening the door for her. Lily stepped out, her heart pounding with anticipation. As they walked toward the entrance, she turned to Mark, her voice trembling. "What if she's upset with me for being late?" Mark smiled gently, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "She'll be glad you're safe. Just be honest with her, and everything will be okay." Taking a deep breath, Lily stepped into the station, scanning the crowd for her Aunt Clara. The moment she spotted her, her heart leaped. Clara was waving frantically, a worried look on her face that quickly melted into relief as their eyes met. "Lily!" Clara exclaimed, rushing toward her. The two embraced tightly, tears of joy streaming down Clara's face. "I was worried. I thought something had happened to you." "I'm sorry, Aunt Clara," Lily said, her voice muffled against Clara's shoulder. "I missed my stop, but Mark helped me." Clara looked at Mark, a mix of gratitude and curiosity in her eyes. "Thank you for taking care of her," she said sincerely. Mark nodded, a warm smile spreading across his face. "It was my pleasure. She's a brave girl." As Clara pulled back to look at Lily, she noticed the change in her niece. "You look different, Lily. More grown up," she remarked, wiping her tears. "I feel different," Lily replied, feeling empowered by the experiences of the last few days. She knew she had faced her fears, making new connections, and learned valuable lessons about trust and courage. As they headed out of the station, Mark said his goodbyes, promising to stay in touch. Lily watched him walk away, feeling a bittersweet ache in her heart. "Who was that?" Clara asked, eyeing her niece curiously. "A friend," Lily said, her voice filled with emotion. She felt grateful for the adventure and the bond they had formed, one that would remain with her forever. With newfound strength, Lily took Clara's hand, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Together, they stepped into the bright future, and for the first time, Lily felt like she could truly conquer the world.